edition of Platter Chatter, the show that critiques and analyzes music on the cutting edge of today's scene. I'm Scott Goldfine.
And I'm Malissia Simpson, and it's nice to see you again. This is a very special show because this is our first week of prime time.
That's right. We're going to be on for the next 12 weeks, so we sure hope that you join us at this time every week. On tonight's show, why don't you tell them what we've got, Melissa?
Well, we're going to be listening to a new one by Robert Plant. You'll remember him from Led Zeppelin. It's called Manic Nirvana. We're also going to be listening to Public Enemy, called Fear of a Black Planet. And last but certainly not least, Scott?
The Digital Underground, a rap group, their debut from up Northern California around Oakland, and it's called Sex Packets. So this Robert Plant thing, Manic Nirvana, this is his first album in about 2 years. And frankly, I was expecting very little because his last album, Now in Zen, which was hugely successful, was very disappointing to me. It was experimental, but it was disappointing.
Well, I think people expected to hear more of Led Zeppelin.
Exactly.
From this album. I really do.
Well, all along, that's been the thing. When he first started on his own, it seems like people all along have been looking for, Led Zeppelin. I think that's a mistake.
So do I. But what can I say?
His first single is called The Hurting Kind, and we're going to take a look at the video right now. Robert Plant.
Hi! We're back in studio. That was Robert Plant from his new album called I've Got My Eyes on You. You know, what I like about the video is that multicolored shirt.
Well, what about the song? I think this song was a moderate pop hit, but it was a huge hit on the rock charts. It's #1 for about a month and a half, I believe. And interesting thing about this album to me is that it rocks really hard, yet without quite the same guitar crunch that Zeppelin had. There's some keyboard in there, and it creates a very rhythmic kind of rock and roll that I kind of like.
Well, I have to tell you, I was prepared to totally not like this album at all because I was never a fan of Led Zeppelin. And I listened to it a few times, and the first couple of times I heard it, I didn't get into it at all. I thought, but it's not a bad album. I mean, rhythmically it's pretty good, and it's good, hard rock and roll. That's what it is. And I think he's changing his style a little bit. He is not Led Zeppelin anymore. He is Robert Plant, and he's changing his style a little bit, and it's okay.
Let's go to the next track. It's a little more down-tempo. It's called I Cried, a little acoustic guitar in there. Robert Plant. All right, we're back in the studio with Platter Chatter, listening to Robert Plant off Manic Nirvana, that track called I Cried, which builds up to kind of a nice crescendo, a little bit like, if the Led Zeppelin comparisons inevitably have to be made to Ramble On off one of their Zeppelin's early albums. This album rocks very hard. There's only a couple of slow songs. One of the most annoying tracks on the album, the Anniversary song, is slow and it's very annoying, and that's probably the only throwaway track I would say. On the whole, I find it a very satisfying and surprisingly good record.
And you threw away the Anniversary track, and that's probably the one that I like the most. It's the Anniversary song, but you and I never agree. Anyway, Scott, how are you going to rate this?
Well, I want to just say there is one other interesting track called I think your mama said you cried last night,
Yeah.
which uses an old record, one that Robert Plant evidently was very enamored with when he was young, and he saved that record, broke it out, and they sampled the rhythm to it on there.
Right.
And it's a bit scratchy and poppy, but at the end of it, he sings a couple of lyrics from Black Dog, an old Zeppelin song, as kind of a treat for, you know, the Zeppelin fans. But on our disc rating system, 1 to 5, 5 being best, I give Robert Plant's Manic Nirvana a rating of 3.5 discs.
Well, Scott, I'll tell you, I hate agreeing with you. I'm going to give it a 3. I think it's much better than his previous album, and I think as he makes more, he'll just get better and better. People are always going to identify him with Led Zeppelin, no matter what he does, no matter how he changes his style. That's just going to be the way people think of him. But I think this album is pretty strong, a lot stronger than the last one.
It is, in fact, I think that this is probably going to be one of the better hard rock albums of 1990.
So.
Okay, that closes the book on Robert Plant. We're going to move to the next act, which is Public Enemy, the very controversial, political, socially relevant rap group who became embattled in a lot of controversy last year over some allegations of anti-Semitism and various controversies that have arisen and kind of clouded the group's future. But here they are back with the album Fear of a Black Planet, and it's quite powerful.
We're going to listen to a cut off the album. It is called 911 is a Joke. This is Public Enemy.
I dialed 911 a long time ago. Don't you see how late they reacting? They only come and they come when they wanna. Forget the morgue truck and then bob the corner. They don't care cause they stay paid anyway. They treat you like an ace that can't beat the trade. I know you stumble with no use people. If your life is on the line, then you're dead today. Late comers with the late comers stretcher. That's a body bag in disguise, y'all. I'll bet ya. I call them body snatchers cause they come to fetch you with an autopsy ambulance just to dissect ya. They are the king cause they swing amputation. Lose your arms, your legs, and them is compilation. I can prove it to you, watch the rotation. It all adds up to a fucking situation. So get up and get down. 911 is joking your town. Get up and get down. Late 911, where's the late crown? Get up and get down. 911 is joking your town. Get up and get down. Late 911, where's the late crown?
Hi, that was Public Enemy. It was called 911 is a Joke. For those of you that just tuned in, you are watching Platter Chatter, and I'm Malissia Simpson. Scott.
Yes.
What did you think about that song?
That song is pretty catchy. That is a single. It's the second single. The first one was called Welcome to the Terror Dome. Welcome to the Terror Dome, incidentally, a very hard-hitting, hardcore kind of rap fueled by Chuck D, the leader of the band. On that particular track, 911 is a Joke, that's Flavor Flav, his kind of comic foil, wears the big hat and the big clocks, rapping on that one. This song is attacking the emergency phone services, of course, around the nation. They're, you know, charging that they don't respond quickly enough when there's a problem in the inner city, which, you know, is certainly a big task.
And it's probably the truth.
Yeah.
As far as Public Enemy goes, I'm going to kind of reserve my comment for them.
Well, good, because we've got another track to listen to. And this one, of course, never did shy away from being controversial. This one is called Anti-Nigger Machine.
When a fuck around time is blow your mind, time to say it's nothing worse than a verse. They hear some nigga curse. They call me rude, some dudes, fiery attitude, claiming I both smoke. Sometimes sing the blues, train metal and settle. Try to never backpedal, but a power some got to get a nigga shot. The only border I avoid, I test the paranoid. I never had to be bad, my mama raised me man. So what I got is hot, love my life a lot. I'm never sad, just glad, that's why I thank my dad. Nah, I ain't with this.
But watch out.
I ain't with it.
Them never give a fuck when me say. Now them a listen one clap me head.
I ain't with it. This is what I mean, an anti-nigger machine. Instead of peace, the police just want to wreck and flex. On the kid, what I did was try to be the best. And so they fingered the trigger, figure I was a bigger nigga, and they started to search me, so I headed west. Went to Cali and Raleigh was for a brother's death. It was the bloods who shot, but not the bloods of cuz. I wondered why I was like, so I just heard.
Hey, we're back in studio jamming a Public Enemy. That particular track talking about, you know, how everything's pitted against the black man, of course. But this album goes on to explore various topics aside from just racism and things like that. There are a couple of tracks, including the title one, Fear of a Black Planet, which addresses separation of the races and how people, are so paranoid of that and concerned about that. And also Polly Cracker, which is about interracial relationships. And then there's the one track you were just alluding to, Burn Hollywood Burn.
Burn Hollywood Burn. Those are my two favorites, is Polly Cracker and Burn Hollywood Burn. They're very timely, I think. And you are the rap fan. You're the big rap guy. But I was really intrigued by some of the things that they were talking about. But, their music, as far as words, very topical. And I really can't say much about the beat because they sample a lot, but... Well,
sure, they sample a lot. They're very abrasive, and the idea is to orally, pull you in with their abrasiveness, and then you check out their lyrics, which are, what they're trying to do is slap you in the face and get you to pay attention to what they're saying. And some of the stuff they're saying is, very important. The Burn Hollywood Burn is interesting because it kind of, it falls in line with them doing the Fight to Power, which was used in Do the Right Thing, Spike Lee's film, and Spike Lee has certainly had to fight to, try to get rid of black stereotypes in Hollywood, and that's what that song is all about.
That's true.
It's an impressive record. It's a 65-minute opus, if you will, and this is their third record. Their last one, Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, was named the best album of the year in '88 of the critics poll across the nation. And their previous album, their first one, called Yo Bum Rush the Show, both of which reviewed on this show, won the Britain critics poll. So they've got a lot of critical muscle behind them.
Well, one thing I will say about them, they are not afraid of controversy. They certainly are not afraid of that. And I give them credit for that because I think it takes a lot of guts to stand up, and present what you want to present to the public, and whether they like it or not, you keep going. I give them a lot of credit for that.
So our disc rating system, 1 to 5, 5 being best. How do you rate them, Melissa?
Scott, I'm going to give it a 2.
A 2?
A 2 because even though there are some things on there that are topical, the music is almost the same. I mean, they're sampling things, and I wish that they would do their own music. I don't see why rap groups can't do more of their own music instead of sampling everybody else's.
Well, on next week's show, actually, we're going to look at a band called Urban Dance Squad who's putting together real music. But I think you're way off base because Public Enemy is very creative, and they're very important. And I think that musically, this album is sounder than their first two. I think they finally focused in, coming together. Flavor Flav is less abrasive and more musical, and I'm going to give Fear of a Black Planet, Public Enemy, a rating of 4 discs.
Well, you're certainly entitled to your opinion.
Well, thank you. What's our final record this evening?
We are going to listen to a group called the Digital Underground. They have an album called Sex Packets.
That's right.
What is a sex packet?
Well, Sex Packet is... it's rumored that there are these things developed by NASA for astronauts to use in space, which come in a packet and they're a drug, and they induce a sexual orgasm.
I see.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to ask any more questions about it because what you're saying is kind of strange. Anyway, we're going to be listening to a cut off the album. It is called The Packet Man. This is Digital Underground.
Excuse me, trooper. Will you be needing any packets today?
Yo, B, don't be pulling on my jacket, okay?
Cool. Just trying to get your attention so you can take a look at this invention. Now peep these. I got some more in my jacket.
Man, what are these, condoms?
Sex packets. It's like a pill. You can either chew it up or like an Alka-Seltzer. Dissolve it in a cup. And get this. See the girl on the cover? You black out, and she becomes your lover.
You're tripping.
No, I'm serious. These are authentic.
Yeah, well, I don't take hallucinogenics.
Wrong again, my man. This is way more real, but since you know everything, I'll make someone else a deal. Packets, got them packets.
Yeah, he's the packet man.
Packets.
Yeah, he's the packet man.
Packets, who needs packets?
Yeah, he's the packet man.
Got them packets.
Well, now you got me curious. I'm kind of thinking about buying it.
3 for $10. It can't hurt to try it.
Back in studio once again with Platter Chatter, listening to the Digital Underground, that one called Packet Man, using the music. Probably a lot of people, especially the younger kids that are listening to this, won't know where that music comes from.
I do.
Well, it says in the credits, of course, but that music is from the Horny Horns from the late 70s, which was a P-Funk and George Clinton aggregate.
Matter of fact, they sampled a lot of the P-Funk squad with their blessing, I might add.
Well, sure, yeah. That they actually are, perpetuating themselves as being the hip-hop answer to the whole Parliament Funkadelic funk mob scene. They use about a dozen of P-Funk songs on their own songs, but I must say they use them, in a fairly keen and tasteful way.
Well, you know how I feel about rap music, but this album really did turn me on, I have to say. There is a cut off the album called The Way We Swing, which is very funky, very hip, and what really struck me about it is that I could get on the floor and dance to it.
Right, their rap is very danceable because it's based on the funk. It's funky rather than real kind of jagged, hip-hop, scratching type stuff. They actually use a little bit of real bass and drums and keyboard at various parts of the album. The big hit, of course, is the Humpty Dance. We were hoping to have that for you, but unfortunately we didn't get it in time. But I'm sure you've all heard it by now because it's a smash hit, and that also, of course, uses a Parliament song.
It's true. It's a good album. It really is. Another cut called Rhyming on the Funk. I know you're going to think I'm nuts when I say this, but to me it had kind of a reggae-like beat. I'm not saying it sounds like reggae, but reggae to me is very mesmerizing, very rhythmic, and this song gave me that same kind of a feeling where I could imagine people in a room listening to them just all of a sudden all swaying together to the same beat.
Rhyming on the Funk?
Yeah.
Well, that, of course, uses Flashlight. By Parliament.
And a lot of piano. I like that piano solo they have in there.
Right, I also like Underwater Rhymes, which was the single, it was actually on a 12-inch that got them noticed up in the Bay Area, up in Oakland where they're from. There's 6 guys, and they're very comic. They don't take themselves very seriously, kind of like George Clinton, the main guy who sings on the Humpty Dance. He wears, the Groucho Marx glasses and nose and stuff, and a plaid jacket, and they don't take themselves seriously. They're funny, they're funky, you can dance to them, but they're also very explicit and have a lot of lyrics that will set some parents' hair on end.
Well, they're very explicit, but you can understand everything they're saying. They're not slurring.
All the more reason for them to get worried.
Well, yeah, that's true, but what I liked about it is that I could understand it. You can hear that they don't take themselves seriously. I mean, you can hear it in the way they sound. You can tell that they're just having fun. And even though some of their lyrics are very explicit, it's not real hardcore. There's maybe one real hardcore song on there. It doesn't sound like they're from the streets, you know?
Well, right, but of course, Freaks of the Industry, which samples Donna Summer, Love to Love You Baby from the mid-'70s, completely revives, actually, updates, and it makes it more explicit. And it's a catchy little tune, though. There's only a couple of tracks I would say are, throwaways. Most of it is pretty solid. And it ends with the title track, which is about a 15-minute multi-part piece, which is quite interesting. And we heard one of them on the clip, their Packet Man. And they swear that these things actually exist, sexual packets, and that they're going to be popping up on the streets and all this kind of thing, and that you can get them according to sexual preference and according to what kind of woman you want or what kind of guy you want, and all this kind of mysticism or mythology surrounding this phenomenon.
Well, if you look at the CD, the little thing on the CD, on the back of it, there's a picture of them handing a packet to someone, and the guy is dreaming. Now, is this to induce a dream state? For astronauts, or is this supposed to really?
Well, I think the idea is right. You can't be, at work or something, working on the job and take one of these things and just kind of to yourself be going, oh, that feels good. It's kind of like where you have to seclude yourself and just kind of get into it. But
well, I think that would make the day very interesting.
It's an interesting theory, and certainly can, help curtail social diseases.
Well, that's what they said, too. They state that they think that this is going to revolutionize sex the way it's perceived, and certainly aid in a safe sex program. So if it is true and it really does exist, I'm going to go out and see if I can find one, Scott, and I'll bring one to you, and, you know, you try it and you let me know.
We'll try them on the show, okay? Okay, Digital Underground, Sex Packet, certainly a topical title, as you can see here. Rating of 1 to 5 discs, 5 discs being best. I'm going to give them a rating of 3.
I'm going to give him a rating. I know this is going to shock you. I'm going to give him a rating of 4.5 because I thought it was really terrific. I loved it, and I could just listen to it at least once, twice a week for a long time.
Why don't you do that?
I may. I just may.
I'll see you cruising down the street, and you'll hear a blast in the Humpty Dance.
In my roles, by the way.
You know, it's interesting. One last note about the Digital Underground. The cassette of that is over 80 minutes of music. So it's...
Digital Underground?
Yeah.
And the CD?
CD's only about 65.
So usually it's the other way around. Why?
No, a CD can only hold about 75 minutes of recording time.
But sometimes the CDs give more music than
LPs.
Right.
But cassettes usually are just as long or longer.
Oh.
So anyway, be sure to join us next week at the same time when we're going to be listening to and reviewing albums by a rap group out of Los Angeles, backed by Dr. Dre and Eazy-E of NWA fame, called Above the Law.
And we're also going to be listening to the Black Crowes.
That's right, a new rock band out of Georgia, very Stones-type sounding band, getting a lot of notoriety. And finally, we're going to listen to the Urban Dance Squad, the band we had mentioned earlier that actually is a band and raps over that. So be sure to join us next week. Thanks for tuning in. And for Platter Chatter, I'm Scott Goldfine.
I'm Malissia Simpson, and we want to say goodbye, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.